Alright guys, NLSC member R4zoR has created an amazing resource for creating courts in NBA 2K13, and this also works for NBA 2K12 since the files are all the same. Essentially what he did was, instead of having to create a court by importing your own center logo, importing your own baseline logo, worrying about where the logo position is, all that stuff, pretty much you make one texture, and that texture is the entire court, and it still looks fine. Which this is something that I did in Live 06, and I did again, I think, for Live 04. I've put many hours trying to get a 2K file do this for me, and R4zoR figured it out, and he's got the tutorial up now that I'm going to take you through and try to show you how to use this, how to apply this to your own courts and make your own amazing courts that he's been making. So let's go ahead and load up the court creating tutorial. And let's just load up the if file right now, just so you guys get an idea of how this looks in the if file. Now you need to know how to use the mod tool. You need to know how to use either Photoshop or GIMP, and you need to be familiar with DDS files. And if you want to do some of the line stuff, you need to be familiar with Blender too, or at least importing and exporting models. So I have other tutorials on that. All tutorials link in the description if you need it. So let's load up the Boise State if file. Now there's a blank DDS file, there's a floor texture, nothing too big here, and then all of a sudden we see this. This is the method to his madness. This entire texture is what is overlain over the entire court, and that is how he's able to have these crazy 3-point shadings and huge logos and extra logos here, the Taco Bell Arena placed in a place that's not normally placed. That is the secret. Now, as you can see right here in this rotating mess I'm following around with my cursor, that is where the big texture is, and all this stuff over here is all the excess stuff that we don't need. And underneath we can see the lines that are still left over. So, let's get into how this is done. He has included a PSD file which can be opened in GIMP, or it's natively for Photoshop. And this is the mess. This is where the magic happens. This is where all of it is. Just so we can make a better look at all this, let's go ahead and hide all of this. So, if you want the free throw line to have multicolors, there you go right there. Honeycomb texture for the old Charlotte court is right there. We got NBA paint. We got blue 3-point line. Logos down on the sides, and the great part about all of this is that these are all textures that you can edit, if that makes sense. Really, as it turns out, as you saw at the very beginning of this tutorial, and all these are labeled so you can see where it is. So we have these line textures right here. As you guys may have noticed, when people do mock-ups of NBA courts and they release them online, it's just one texture just like this. And what you can do is take that and use the stretch commands, or scale tools, whatever, and stretch them so that each corner meets up here, and then you can just, that's it, you play on that court. It's that simple. So that's how he was able to do the Oregon court. I really don't know how to go into too much detail on how and what to do with all of this, because this is obviously out of bounds coloring and everything. I'm just going through to show you all the different things that are here. Now, one thing you may notice, okay, we're at the bottom. Oops, and nice little city backdrop right there. As you'll notice right here, the logo and the circles for the free throw line, they're a bit squished. They're, squished, I'm doing it with my hands, you can't see. They're squished horizontally. And that is something that you're going to need to handle. If you think about a basketball court, it's pretty much twice as long as it is wide. So obviously, if you have a square texture like this, that's 1024 by 1024, it's going to be stretched out fatter if you just import a logo right in. So let's say I want the center logo to be the Celtics logo. Much bigger. You know what? We're just going to keep it that size. Why not? Does it have a oh no, that's still too big. So let's scale it down a little bit. Let's keep the aspect ratio right here. Scale it down just a little bit. Now we're going to line it up right into the middle. And what you need to do to make this look proper when you import it into the texture, into the if file, and have it show up in-game, you need to make it squish together. And we found out that you need to squish it together by 51.5%. And it's okay if it does that little shifty thing. That is how you need to squish it down. So line that up in the center again. We can go ahead and try to find and get rid of... We're not going to find it, are we? Okay, we'll just leave it like that. So the same thing with like the word marks. So let's say I want this to be kind of like the old style for the TD Garden, where these are mashed together. So we're going to rotate this by -90 degrees. And we're going to have to scale it down with aspect so it's the right size, so it fits on the baseline. I'm going to put it right over here. And since we need to scale it again, but this time without aspect, we're going to scale it down by 51.5%. And now, when we load this up in the game, if we were to load it up, just like this or whatever, it would show up properly. So I mean, it boils down to just getting the court to look right in the texture. This is how it looks in the texture. That's how it's going to look in the game. This is how it looks in the texture. That's how it's going to look in the game. That's how it looks in the texture. You understand what I'm saying here. This is how the court will look loaded up in the game. And that's why it allows R4zoR to be so crazy with all these designs, because it's really just doing it in Photoshop or GIMP. And that's it. Now, the other part of this is depending on the logo. It's going to depend on, or the logo, the texture. It's going to depend on what lines you want the game to actually load. So if we look at the Mecha Arena, you see how we have the college 3-point line and we have the NBA 3-point line here. Well, if we go to the FIU court, we only have the NCAA line. However, the lines that are loaded by the court itself, by the model, are still going to show up. So this is where needing to know how to import import textures, obviously, for this. And if you save a file here, you want to make sure you save it as a DDS file, DXT5, generate bitmaps. Ta-da! That's it. So we can go ahead and import this. And then we can go down to the models. Whoa, I forgot I had this zoomed out. You can't resize this tool, I'm sorry. So then we have this tool, and what we need to figure out is which lines we want to show up, stop rotating, in the file. So we go to import res, and he's got this nice model stuff right here. So we have no lines at all, which has, the court is right here, so no lines are going to show up. It's going to be only the texture. We can import NCAA model with all the lines, which has the NCAA 3-point line and nothing else. Then the NBA with no 3-point line. And then the NBA model with all lines. And this is all going to depend on what you want to have, be for your court. What kind of lines you want to show up. I guess the main thing is doing this in Photoshop. So you do need to have Photoshop skills to get this done. You do need to, I didn't need this open again. You do need to know how to generate this texture and how to do it properly. Now, there are packs that you can download online. Let's create a new layer here for fun. And let's go all the way to the top. And let's go ahead and load up this seamless texture I just got. And we're going to scale it down to, let's say, 64 by 64. Good quality. Copy that. And we're going to do a fill here, a pattern fill with the clipboard. And this is going to be my wood texture for the court. And then if I go through here and find like the 3-point line and the other lines and bring them, I don't know, can I bring this up to the top really easily? I'm not sure, but that's essentially how you do it. You just gotta make this texture look like how you want it to look like, and that's how it's gonna look in the game. So that's basically it. You know, for other helpful tutorials on DDS files, for how to use the mod tool, and how to use GIMP and everything else, check my other videos. If you need help, R4zoR and I are more than willing to help you guys out with this, and I can't wait to see what the community does with this. Thank you so much to R4zoR for this incredible tutorial, base files, and just this discovery. Congratulations, great freaking job, man, and I will see you guys in the next video.